Spring it on with 40 to 70% off almost everything at Gap Factory and gapfactory.com. Matching styles for the family are on sale too. Shop it all through April 12th.
Welcome to another episode of Chargers Unleashed. Jake Hefner and Dan Wolkenstein here with you from the LA Football Network. Along with podcasts everywhere, you can, of course, find us on YouTube and Patreon and all other major social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at LAC_Unleashed. Dan, I don't know if excitement is the right word to use for today's show, because we have a special guest today that you and I have been hoping to have as part of this show for a long, long time. I'll let you do the honors. Bring him in. Tell us about it.
Jake, you mentioned it. We have an amazing show. And yes, we have both been very eager to have this gentleman on the show with us. And he's going to be sitting down with us today to talk a little bit of Chargers defense. Ladies and gentlemen, the pride of Great Valley High School in Pennsylvania, the former Fighting Blue Hens standout, number 24 on the field, but let's be real, number 1 when it comes to college hype videos. Just became a married man back in March of this year, and man, all Chargers fans out there are so eager to see ball out in this new defensive scheme. It's time to crack open an energy drink because Chargers starting free safety Nasir Adderley is joining Chargers Unleashed. Nas, excited to have you on the show. Welcome to Chargers Unleashed. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. Now, before you get into anything, I know COVID has been crazy this past year. We're almost out of the dark. How are you? How are the family? How's everybody doing?
Yeah, everybody's doing great. My wife's doing well. My daughter's doing well. We're just adjusting to, because we actually just moved out of a house into an apartment. We're going to be buying a house and probably in another state. But, they're doing well. We're excited about this upcoming year. So, definitely a lot to be glad about.
Good. Well, I'm glad everybody's safe. Now, we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff on this episode, and I cannot wait for folks to hear what we have in store. We're going to go into the new coaching staff. We'll talk a little bit about the Chargers secondary, Nasir's time at Delaware, the mindset going into year 3. Maybe we'll get in some rapid-fire questions. Who knows? But we have to start with something that I think Chargers fans and those covering the team have been chomping at the bit to see since you were drafted in the second round from Delaware. Chargers have been waiting patiently and impatiently many times to see the combo of you and Mr. Derwin James on the field. And immediately after you were picked by the Chargers, Daniel Jeremiah came out and said you were the perfect pairing for him. Now, how has the chemistry been with you and Derwin since joining the team? And how do you actually kind of see your skill sets maybe complementing each other?
Oh, yeah. First things first, it's been great having him back. Just great leader out there, communicator. We already know the talent he has. It's been great for us as a team. And then, just me and him, we definitely work very well together. We definitely both have a strong work ethic. So, we're both competing against one another on the daily, just trying to figure out this defense and just trying to be leaders on the back end. I love working with him, and I think we should have a very bright future.
Now, Nas, we take a look at this defensive secondary. We start going through the depth chart a little bit. It's kind of going through a little bit of an overhaul over this past season. We've got yourself, we've got Derwin James, we got Mike Davis, Chris Harris, now Asante Samuel Jr. comes into the fold. And now, of course, you guys are getting through OTAs and getting closer to training camp and getting this time to spend with one another. What are some takeaways that you've gotten from the group so far? And what's the biggest hurdle that all of you have to overcome, being that this kind of is a new group? What's the biggest hurdle that you have to overcome as we get closer to week 1?
Yeah, I think the biggest hurdle is just adjusting to the new scheme, messing with one another. Some players might play something different than others. Just getting that chemistry. I think that would be the biggest hurdle, just mainly getting down the playbook and stuff like that. But something I noticed about this group, we're all competitors, even just in the meeting rooms. You could tell everyone's just very optimistic and excited about what we have going for us. So, everyone seems determined, locked in, and right before we go out, you see everyone in their notes, just trying to make sure we're doing the right thing and everyone's holding each other accountable.
Now, along with the changes in personnel for the defensive back group, equally has been a big change for this coaching staff for the Chargers. And obviously, you've been on the team now for a few years, first under Coach Anthony Lynn, now with Brandon Staley coming into the fold. What are some of the tangible differences that you've noticed in how they coach, how they prepare the teams for Sundays?
Yeah, so I mean, well, one, I mean, we're not really doing what a lot of the teams are doing across the league. Like we've been at a walkthrough tempo and stuff like that, but we've been extremely detailed. I mean, we've been getting a lot of plays in. We've been very efficient. I mean, we're learning so much every day. Um, I mean, yeah, everything's going well. So I mean, we're all excited. And then one of the biggest difference I think to me, I mean, our head coach is like basically kind of like a defensive coordinator. So I mean, that's been kind of different, and I mean, he's just very knowledgeable. Even just same with Ronaldo Hill and Da and Tommy. I mean, we got a lot of knowledge defensive back wise in the room, and I mean, it's only going to be of our benefit.
Now, back in April, just prior to the draft, Brandon Staley gave you a lot of praise, saying that you were, quote unquote, their kind of safety. When you first heard that, did you have an idea of what he meant by that? Did he have a certain thing in mind when he was calling you their type of safety? And what differences do you think Chargers fans will see from you this year versus the years past?
Yeah, I mean, that definitely meant a lot just from a new coach. And I mean, I definitely want to come in, prove myself, not only to him, but all the coaches and all my teammates. I want to be somebody they can rely on. But I mean, yeah, that definitely meant a lot. And I think it showed me like, all right, you're doing the right things, heading in the right direction. So I just got to keep working hard and just keep trying to master my craft. And I think like in the next couple of years, just going forward, I mean, I think you'll see a different player. I was dealing with a lot of just adversity my 2 years, and so even when I was playing, I was dealing with a shoulder that a lot of people didn't really know about, like since beginning of the season. But I think you'll see a better tackler. You'll see me take the ball away and stuff like that. I mean, that's something I take pride in, and that's something I want to do at a high level, and that's what I'm working at every day.
Now, you've mentioned in prior interviews that the team has had some fun using apps and Zoom to quiz the team, and coaches have talked about it. Take us into the locker room. Give us some insight here. We've heard about the Kaboom. What are some of the focus areas or questions that you've been quizzed on so far?
Yeah, so this actually was before we actually met up in person. We were on Zoom, and it was just kind of an interactive way to keep everyone engaged and stuff like that. And I mean, mainly we were just going over just a review of like the defense and the different adjustments, and that's kind of like what it was focused on. It did get me when we had like some Chargers history, so I gotta lock in and go read up on some.
What was a question that you missed, if you don't mind me asking?
Shoot, what position Coach Staley played in college? He looked like a receiver, but he played quarterback.
You know they're never going to hold that.
Making someone miss. I thought he was a receiver. But it was just little stuff like that. So it was very fun and interactive. And
now, you mentioned earlier about the amount of talent that's around you guys. And you talked about like the walkthroughs are a little bit different now. So you're kind of going at a slower pace, different than most other teams. What do you like? Just as a follow up, like what does that do for you guys? Like, how does that feel like? What does that change for you practically?
Yeah, so I mean, it's very nice, especially learning just new concepts, a new scheme, and stuff like that. I mean, it's worked out very nicely for us, in my opinion. Because like when we're not something Coach Staley really preached on is like if we're not going full speed physically, like we need to be going full speed mentally. So I mean, we got a lot. We're processing and stuff right now, and I mean, I think it's going very well.
That's awesome. Now, earlier we talked to Chris Harris Jr., and he talks about what he had hoped the team could accomplish this year as a whole. In your eyes, what do you foresee as like the identity for this Chargers secondary group being under Coach Ainsley and Coach Hill?
Yeah, so I mean, I think definitely the talent's there. I think all it comes down to really is just one, staying healthy and just making sure we're communicating and just like making sure we're all on the same page. I think we're all on the same page and we stay healthy, stay committed, and keep just winning every single day, like taking it one day at a time. I think we're going to get to where we want to.
And Nasir, for you, unfortunately, your first season in the NFL was cut a little bit short. You only ended up playing in 4 games in 2019. And in 2020, you got your full season under your belt. Now, what have you learned in these first 2 years? And I think you touched on it a little bit just a few moments ago, but what have you learned in these first 2 years that's going to help you continue to make your game better?
Well, I think, well, one for me, I try to just focus on, all right, what are some of the things I've done to make myself a really good player? So, I mean, I try to just focus on those things, just focus on all the small details. And I think just going from year 2 to year 3, like, I mean, I feel like I'm a much better tackler than what I put on tape. I mean, I feel like I could be a lot more ball productive. And I mean, I think this scheme is going to open a lot of opportunity for me just to play downhill and just show some of my ball hawking abilities. So, I mean, I'm excited. I mean, I think it's going to be beneficial for all of us, like across the board as a defense. So, I mean, we're looking forward to it.
Great. And this question, on or off the field, what has been one of your favorite memories as a member of this Chargers team in the short 3 years that you've been here?
My favorite memory, let me see. I don't know. I really like just being with the guys on like the away games. Like that's something. I mean, I really enjoy that. I mean, we just building that chemistry and just being with one another, laughing, joking. You know what I mean? Like, and hopefully we're coming back with a victory. But I mean, just having those road trips, those are some of my favorite memories. And I mean, I hope we can build on that and have even more bigger ones. See, it was kind of hard too because we didn't really get to do a whole lot as a like team and stuff last year, just with COVID and everything like that. But I mean, even just some of the games we did win last year. I mean, that's something I love. I mean, I love winning games. So I mean, just sharing that moment with those guys and just everyone celebrating and being happy. I mean, that's something I love, and that's what makes the game fun.
Now we're going to get into rapid fire questions here in a bit, but I had one question, and we hadn't really touched on this yet with our defensive guys, but you have a quarterback, Justin Herbert. He has been balling out last year. I think he's a difference maker, and he's different. A lot of people talked about him as being the third best quarterback going into the draft when he came out. Clearly, he has proven that wrong, it seems. What has it been like for you as a defender or just as a teammate, kind of watching him blossom? And how do you see him kind of progressing this year?
Oh, man. I think he's going to just have a very, very great career. And, I mean, I think he's going to take a big jump from year 1 to year 2, as crazy as that sounds. I mean, just the type of production he put up last year. But, I mean, we revamped the offensive line so he won't get as much pressure and stuff like that. But, I mean, I don't know. Just watching him in practice, I'm like, yeah, he's a very good quarterback. And Chris will even tell you, like even during training camp and stuff like that, we've seen some of those flashes. So, it's just really exciting to see how his career has panned out so far. Because even like in like pregame warm-ups, he'll throw like a 60, 70-yard back shoulder. I'm like, yo, why do you throw the ball so deep? But now I'm excited for him. I mean, he's extremely fun to be around, great leader. I mean, I wouldn't rather have anyone else leading this team.
We're talking to Nasir Adderley. Nas, thank you so much for joining us. We're doing some rapid-fire questions. You got a few minutes for that?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to put you on the hot seat a little bit here.
All right.
All right, rapid fire questions. Here we go. Number one, there's a lot of competition in this locker room on and off the field. What's one of the things off the field that you are better at than anyone on this team?
Better at? So it's even in the locker room, like we got a little basketball hoop in there. And like, I mean, a lot of people don't even want to play me because I be making a lot of shots. So
Even Keenan.
Keenan, he came over there one time, but I mean, I like me.
All right. So now we've heard this Chargers team is also using apps and games and quizzes off the field to help with game preparation. Now we've heard specifically for you that you're the king of Kahoot. So who's your biggest competition? Who's the next behind Nasir Adderley in the team quizzes?
Sure. It'd be different, like kind of every day. Like Aloe have really good performances. It's really been different, like kind of every day. Like DJ, Chris, but I don't know. It's really them Chargers history. So if I get my Chargers history down, I don't know.
Undefeated.
So basically, it's if you're not first, you're last, and it's Nas and everyone else.
I don't know. I'm just very competitive, and I mean, we all are really, and I think it's going to definitely be of our benefit. Like even just in the classroom, just making sure we're holding each other accountable and competing. Because I mean, once we get out there, we want to be able to play fast. So I definitely take good pride in that.
All right, good. Let's go back to college, Delaware. What was your favorite memory? We've seen all kinds of crazy highlights and stuff. What's your favorite memory back in college on the field?
Man, I think just making the playoffs for the first time. It was like the first time in 8 years that Delaware made the playoffs. And I don't know, coming in from a freshman, we went 4-7 back-to-back years. I mean, we had all the talent in the world, but we just couldn't piece it together. And then we actually had a coaching change, and then went 7-4 the next year. And then we made playoffs for the first time. So I mean, we went 7-4 my junior year, missed playoffs, but then the next year after that we made it. So as a senior, and that was just an amazing experience, just after everything we've been through.
Now, we're all foodies here on this show, and we like asking questions about anybody's particular brand of food. Give me your ideal food that you would love to eat after a Chargers victory.
A cheesesteak. I don't know where I'm gonna get it from out here, but
good luck with that.
Cheesesteak.
I mean, there's Philly's best, but I
food,
think that you could find some better than that.
I'm nervous to try any out here, but cheesesteak, some soul food, something like that.
Oh, that's making me hungry, man.
Yeah, man.
All right, so we'll keep it on food then. If the safety pairing of Derwin James and yourself were two different condiments, what condiments would you two be and why?
Salt and pepper. Salt and pepper. You gotta have the salt and pepper.
Love it. Now, lots of talk about the new Jack Boys this season. Again, as we talked about the revamped secondary. Is the Jack Boys nickname staying, or is there another slogan that the players have kind of been coming up with?
I mean, Jack Boys, I mean, it's definitely staying. I mean, we do understand we got new bodies in there, but we think the mindset is the same. And I mean, shoot, we want to take the ball away. We want to just hold each other accountable and just make sure we're being the best we can be. So I mean, that's not going anywhere. We understand there's new bodies in here, but I mean, that identity, that culture, that's something we want to maintain. No matter who's in the room. I mean, whether that's rookies or whatever, that's something we want to maintain and making sure like we're just playing at a high level.
Now, you've gotten praise from folks on and off the field. You obviously are doing well with the quizzes off the field, but your fellow DB, Chris Harris, told us last month that you were actually, in his opinion, the best dressed player on the team. So question for you, what are your favorite brands to sport?
My favorite brands? I don't know. Like, that's crazy. I don't even be like really like dressing up a whole lot, but I don't know. I really like Zara. That's like one of my favorite places to shop. That's definitely like probably my favorite.
God, now who can pull off a jumpsuit better, you or Chris?
You said jumpsuit?
Yep.
Oh, I got plenty of jumpsuits. I got a jumpsuit on now.
Yes. All right, we're closing it out with Nasir Adderley. Now, your college hype video coming out of Delaware, that had your highlights, obviously, but also underneath it was Meek Mill's championship intro song, which was absolutely insane, got me hyped. I listen to it all the time. So let's talk hype songs. What is the latest hype song you're running with these days?
I mean, whatever the latest thing Meek drop or any of my Philly rappers, I listen to Core, Quilly, Meek. That I don't know. For me, that's what gets me really hyped. Like anybody, you ask any of our teammates and stuff, we put Meek on in the weight room or something like that. Like they know I'm singing everything. I'm like, all right, let's put any weight on there. You know what I mean?
Let's go.
Like, that's something that gets me really hyped.
Got it. And Jake likes to ask this question. On your playlist, you mentioned Meek. 15 minutes before the game, what are you listening to?
Shoot, Meek. There's a rapper named Core. I listen to him a lot. Them two, like they kind of go neck and neck. I definitely listen to a lot of them before the game. Now, like earlier in the game, like in that day, I like to just kind of be calm. Like, that's why I hit my stretching, mobility, stuff like that. I'll listen to gospel when I wake up, just to relax my mind and remind me I'm grateful to be here, and I can't take it for granted. So I definitely like doing that before every game. And that's something I've done ever since like high school.
Wise. Keep yourself centered. Keep yourself grounded. Can't have any better advice than that. Nasir Adderley, you are officially off the hot seat. You have survived. You have made it. And folks, Nasir Adderley has been gracious enough to join us on Chargers Unleashed. Nas, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a blast, and we've had a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you for having me, man.
Thank you. Can't wait to see you ball out this year with Derwin and company. Jake, this is Nasir Adderley.
I know, man.
Yes, sir.
Finally. Been waiting for this one for a long time, sir.
I love it, man. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us, man.
Thank you for joining. You are on the caboose and the hype train with us. Can't wait to see you ball out at SoFi. We'll talk to you soon, all right?
Yes, sir. Sounds good, man. You have a good one.
All right, you too, Nas.
Well, that was Chargers free safety Nasir Adderley. Dan, a lot to unpack from some of those comments that Nasir put forth to us. We're going to break everything down, have our quick takes from it. Real quick before we do, want to just remind everybody that today's show is being brought to you by Brewery X, Manscaped, Garrison Brothers, and of course, Chargers Bolt Family. And real quick, Dan, I know you have some details as it relates to Chargers Bolt Family. Tell us a little quick about it.
Yeah, Charger Bolt Family. You actually have an event coming up on the 19th of June and the 20th of June. It's a homeless event. You can, again, find Charger Bolt Family at Charger Bolt Family. They're now on Twitter, they're on Instagram, they're also on Facebook. They have a whole group dedicated to them. All kinds of memorabilia, great organization, great group of people. You can get anything signed from Justin Herbert, Keenan Allen, Derwin James, Joshua Kelly, Dan Fouts, you name it. But in terms of the actual event, they have a barbecue, Mission Bay, 10 a.m. in San Diego. And then they also have, they're doing an event for the homeless. They're doing handouts in downtown San Diego on the 20th at 12 p.m. For any questions, if you're interested, go to Charger Bolt Family, ask Ken or Mary. They can help you out. Again, Charger Bolt Family, they're fantastic. Great organization. Highly, highly recommend. And Jake, I don't know if you're wearing it today, but this episode is also brought to you, everyone, by Manscaped. Go to Manscaped, save 20%, use the code UNLEASHED. You can get the new Lawnmower 4.0. Actually spoke with my wife about some of the accessories that come with it. How did
that conversation go?
There was a lot of giggling, a lot of chuckling, but
I'm sure.
But she noticed that there was actually quite the need and quite like she understood why all that was there. Like she was talking about... Easy, Jake. Easy.
I'm sorry, dude. You said you shouldn't have ended. You shouldn't have ended the sentence there. I'm sorry, but I get what you're saying now. So I'm glad it didn't go off that direction.
There's an opportunity that Manscaped has delivered for with some of these products. We're talking like ball deodorant. We're talking lotion. We're talking mats. We're talking. I mean, you name it. There's all kinds of stuff. If you or your loved ones are needing something, go to manscaped.com. Use the code UNLEASH. Save 20%. All right, so Jake.
Everybody's favorite ad read, Manscaped. So if you haven't turned clicked off of us already due to our Manscaped ad, yeah, Dan, as you were about to say, lots to unpack from that interview with Nasir Adderley. So, we see this from a lot of the different guys that we've had on the show, just a different energy with everybody. You go back to the rookies that we've had on the show now Chris Harris, last week with it being Drew Tranquill. Nasir just has that flair and that confidence that you're supposed to have as a DB. And you saw that in his attitude, you saw it in his answers, and just from his perspective going into year 3. And it's, the first question right off the bat, everybody wants to see what the perfect picture looks like with the quote-unquote Daniel Jeremiah perfect pairing of Nasir Adderley versus Derwin James. And again, it seems like it's a trend. What did Drew Tranquill say to us last year? Who's the one person you're looking forward to the most in training camp, and why is it Derwin James? It's Derwin 100% of the way. And you just see how much of an impact and a leader that he is to this, not only the secondary, but to this team in general. And you understand how hyped Nasir is to have Derwin back in camp.
It is interesting to see these players and kind of the different personalities that they bring. And going from Drew to Nas has this kind of calm but fun vibe to him. That kind of, he's not going to be the most boisterous. He's not going to be the loudest. He's not like the biggest hype man. But he kind of lets his tape do the work, but he'll come at you. He'll come at you, no problem. I love how competitive this entire team is. And the fact that Nas is winning all of the quizzes and stuff off the field is hilarious. Nas being the best on the basketball court, pretty telling there. I was surprised.
Nobody wants to try him.
Nobody wants to try him. Although I would love to see Nas play Derwin at Madden because that'd probably go a different direction.
Ooh, that could be epic. That may cause some inter squad friction. Maybe you don't want that.
Yeah, probably not good.
Friendly rivalry.
Yep. Now it's kind of, I don't know. I like hearing about kind of what he's learned and some of the progressions that he's had going from year 1 to 2 to 3. And, he talked about it. His first year was kind of riddled by injuries. COVID kind of put a lot of strain on things. Last year really wasn't a fair assessment given there was no offseason. It was just a weird dynamic. And now he's finally healthy. And you could tell he kind of has a chip on his shoulder. And there are a lot of things that he's wanting to prove about who he feels he is as a player versus what he's been able to showcase on the field so far. And so he kind of gave a preview of who he sees himself as the ball hawk, as someone who tries to take the ball away, as someone who's always kind of around the ball. I mean, if that doesn't get you hyped for what this kid can bring and the potential that this secondary has with him, I mean, I don't know what will. I don't know. And again, real quick, shout out, congratulations again to Nas on the marriage in March. Can't wait to see where he ends up going for his honeymoon because I think he hasn't been able to go because of COVID and having the young one. But Jake, those rapid fire questions, he was on point with some of those.
The rapid fire questions were money. Some of the best answers that I've heard, just as far as the timing, not have to think about it right off the cuff. He knew exactly what he was going to say. Again, I was questionable because you were the one that came up with if Derwin James and Nasir Adderley were a condiment duo, what would they be? And I'm like, this is all about the delivery as far as you give it. And without even hesitation, he knew exactly what he was going to say. Salt and pepper. Done.
Yeah, and again, for just so folks are aware, guests do not see those rapid fire questions ahead of time. So the fact that they're able to kind of get those under pressure, he's given Philly cheesesteaks, he's given salt and pepper.
The food question is always another one. Again, we're big foodies on this show. And if it was me answering that, I would have to take a minute to think about it. I would not have an answer that quickly. So for him to just immediately say Philly cheesesteak, but the problem is, like he said, you're not going to go to Philly's best. He wants something legitimate as far as a Philly's cheesesteak goes. So it doesn't look like he's found it yet. So I wish him well in that. And then what was the other one that he knew right off the bat the jumpsuit. The jumpsuit question was fantastic. I got on a jumpsuit right now. That was great. Real quick, what I wanted to touch on though, Dan, outside of the rapid fire questions before we get out of here, is you hear this. We've heard this now from everybody that we've had on the show recently, and I'm always interested in hearing their answers because sometimes you get some similarities. But you heard it from Nasir Adderley's perspective of Brandon Staley and what the coaching staff has done. And this is kind of an echo of the fundamentals that Drew Tranquil was talking to us about last week, but not just making sure that everybody is physically prepared, because as Nasir mentioned, and as we have seen from the footage from the OTAs, it's just walkthrough. They're not going full speed. But as far as mentally goes, Brandon Staley wants them at full speed right now for that. So you can tell that it's another level, it's another perspective of this new coaching regime's mentality that they're trying to input into the players on this team.
It's a great point, Jake. And what's interesting is I remember us talking, and we've been a fan of this team for decades now, but I remember us talking ad nauseum for the last few years, and last year especially on the show, over and over again. Other than the injury issue, there were so many mental mistakes, whether it was the coaching staff or the players, but we beat ourselves every time. It was brutal. You get the feeling, get the sense that is not going to happen as much with this new coaching scheme. The fact that they are not even allowed to touch the ball for a week, Drew Tranquil talked about it last week. They weren't touching it. They're talking about just walkthroughs now, and they're just going to be doing all of the mental preparation. That's the stuff that I think we were missing the most last year, was just having the mental toughness, being ready and being kind of prepared for all of the unexpected. That's where we ended up falling short so often, and it's just refreshing, and it's cool to see the team and the players all kind of galvanizing around that, and they actually appreciate that too. I loved that. I thought that was great. He gave some great info on some new hype music, which I loved. Jack Boys is staying. You heard it there first. Nas is such a good player, such a good person on and off the field. So excited we had to have him on the show. Can't wait to see what he does with this team. Jake, I mean, this has been a wild ride. We're going to keep this thing going. We're not done. We got so much coming up. For those who have come in for the first time for this show on this episode, thank you so much for joining us. We can't wait for you to see what we have in store. You can find us at Chargers Unleashed on Twitter. That's not true. You can find us at LAC_Unleashed. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook. You can subscribe to us on YouTube as well. Jake, is there anything else from today in terms of takeaways that folks or you got from this?
Every time we do this, dude, it just makes me want football to be here already. So I'm on the high for, the good portion of the interview. And then once it's over with, I'm like, it's only June.
And I'm hungry. I want a cheesesteak.
Yeah. Now I got to think about what the hell I'm going to have for a late lunch. I haven't even eaten lunch yet. And yeah, I still got to wait until at least July for there to be some form of contact as far as football goes. So it just doesn't make me feel good when these interviews are over with, because that is the reality that I have to come back to and wait patiently or impatiently, if you know me. Football just needs to get back, and it needs to get back in a hurry.
Yep, for sure. And well, look, we're going to have a little bit of dark times here in terms of content, but we're not going to go dark. But you'll see folks are going to be going dark on the field. There's about a month gap between when things end and then training camp will start. But we are not going anywhere. We're going to stay with you. Myself, Chat Chargers Homer, Jake at Jake T. Hefner. We will be with you guys shortly. Following this coming week, we're actually going to be having another episode talking to you about some of the takeaways and some of the things that have happened these past couple weeks. But until then, thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next time on Chargers Unleashed.
Stop! Oh, I'm stopping y'all boys. That's going to get me.
Intercepted. Picked off by Michael Davis. Explosiveness from Eckler. There's Murphy. Boy, he blew that up, didn't he? It is picked off. Nasir Adderley. 50-50 ball is 100%. Mike Williams. Ochena Nwosu. And that will end it. Time to bolt up.